What's up, everyone? Good evening. Thankfully it cleared. It's a quick one tonight, but I see them already starting to set. But I got Saturn on the left, Jupiter on the right. Completely unbelievable that we get to see this. You can see the moons as well. Underneath Saturn you got Titan, and very faintly you got Rhea, Enceladus, Tethys, Eyepieces, and Dione. And then, let me lower this for a second. And then Jupiter, of course, you got Io, Ganymede, Europa, and Callisto hanging out. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Hit that 4K. Hopping in the chat. What's up, Kimmy? You're first. What's up, Meredith? What's up, Abu Sadbayu? What's happening? Ellie Wynn, good to see you. And Wingsley, yes, of course. Alright, so let's chill to some tunes and watch some planets for a little bit. 6:44 on the clock. Another day towards the Great Conjunction. So that was pretty sweet. Maybe you caught it at the bottom right corner. That was not a meteor, that was probably a satellite, but such an interesting dive or angle to it. But that is the third one. I know that I was talking about the one yesterday at the beginning of the stream, and I realized like after the stream had ended and it finished recording, it finished archiving, that not a lot of it actually got recorded. But if you do look at yesterday's stream and you scroll the scrubber to the absolute first frame, you will see the tail end of it. The last frame, or sorry, the first frame of the video, you'll see just like a tiny blip at the bottom left corner. So making a triangle with Saturn and Jupiter. So yesterday there was a flyby. First night there were 2 flybys, the Crew Dragon and Starlink. And then tonight this was another one, so 3 in a row. Pretty slick. What can I say? What's up, Morning Star Story? What's happening, Cat with a K? What's happening, Marky Rowe? What's happening, TJ? Unnamed Citizen, Debbie Carson. Good to see everybody. Hell yeah. Listen to Strut. I appreciate that. I don't know, Unnamed Citizen. I'm not sure. Maybe. Maybe not. So, like I said, got Saturn on the left, Jupiter on the right. Just chilling with y'all tonight. I was kind of mid-dinner, to be honest, but I was like, no, I gotta catch this. And it was cloudy all day, and it just peaked right now. It's still hazy, as you can see, but we got the views, and you can see actually one of the moons is right on the edge of Jupiter. Let's see what that is. Is it Io on the cusp? I'm going to try and stream as many days towards the Great Conjunction as possible. So that's Ganymede clipping the right side of Jupiter. And interestingly, you got Europa and Callisto kind of together on the right-hand side, almost forming like one bright spot, and then Io all the way on the left of Jupiter. So maybe we'll zoom into Jupes in a second and see how that's looking. Feeling good, feeling fine. Let's see what I got here for y'all. Let's play some Willpowered while our spacelings stream in tonight.
Do you know why I've been beaten from the heart? I know, no lie. I've been thinking about you all night. Why? No, I've been waiting for your white light, no, I've been thinking that you should be mine. So call me up, and let's get down, 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 down. So call me up, and let's get down, 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 down. Oh, you send me messages across the cosmic network, and you send me pictures from across the astral plane, and you send me cryptic kisses across the matching network. So call me up, and let's get down, 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 down. So call me up, and let's get down, 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 down. Je t'attends mon amour incertuel, assis la même que la même semaine, agitant la éternelle, avec pendant son billet. Je suis la même, ton avant-l'aile chaque jour. Je t'attends mon amour, avec les mecs sans agrévé. Et c'est mon âme magnétique, c'est l'amour magnétique, c'est mon amour magnifique. Cool running.
Alright, that was a little Willpowered. 6:52 on the clock, East Coast. Another night doing this amazing work for y'all and for me. Hopping in the chat to say what's up to everybody I missed. I see Jen Perry there. I see Genghis Khan, and I see Andrea Lynn's Arkansas Garden. That's cool. Welcome. And Soul Taker just joined us. Timothy Martin. What's up, good people? So yeah, so zoomed in here. This is actually the wide lens, so it's kind of zoomed in, but using the wide shot. Where we can see all the moons not all of them, but the 4 visible ones. Io hanging out by itself, and Ganymede right at the cusp, and then Europa and Callisto doing their cool little dance. If that were much higher up in the sky, we'd see them kind of circle each other. And I have a video of that from way back when. So those are some Jupiterian moons, Jovian system. Gonna pull up another song here and keep the party going. It's so funny how early it is, but it feels so late. What shall I play? Something different. The Sky Don't Lie. And then we'll go over to Saturn, check it out a little bit. Yo and Hans, what's going on? Welcome. Yeah, cheers Hans and Rastaman lives. And anybody else hanging out, lurking with us. Wait, I see Kimmy. What's going on, Kimmy? No, Kimmy, you were first. Sorry. I got confused for a second. Kat, thank you. Says the music is so perfect for the viewing of the universe. It is inspired by watching it, so it fits pretty well. But thank you. And let's see. Cool, great to see you, Jen. And Hans Koning, great to have you come back. And thanks for the really nice comment yesterday. What's happening, Justice Alexander Bidot? And Genghis, yeah, you left a comment today as well. I've been busy today, but I'll go back and check everything later this evening. Alright, let's head on over to Saturn briefly. Can't believe it. That's another flyby. 2 tonight. I think it was a satellite. Yeah, like I tried to capture it, but man, it is way too hazy, and the scope is already at like this crazy angle. Not gonna happen. Back at it before these disappear behind the trees, but that was pretty sweet. Love it. Was not expecting that. So yeah, it's a quick one tonight. You see Jupiter's already fringing because of the trees. I kind of wanted to do some Birkeland filament sketching on top of this. Maybe I'll do it real quick, just so we can see what that looks like. Paint. Never thought I'd be using MS Paint as much as I do, but here we go. Let's pull up the cursor here and just sketch a couple of conjugate geometry, some toruses. All right. So you see that? We got Saturn, inertial plane, Birkeland filaments, coaxial Birkeland electric currents feeding into Saturn, and then Jupiter, same sort of thing. Ooh, spiraling like a Fibonacci spiral, expanding. And then, yeah, apple, or the torus shape. You got the hypotrochoid right here, or the hourglass shape. And you got consciousness and memory of the planets, like onion skin, surrounding both of them. Now, of course, they're not on the same level, right? But either way, this is sort of what I see when I look at planets now and stars. And of course, radiating from other sides, and then of course this forms hexagons. There are hexagons and pentagons, and then this itself forms another hypotrochoid where there's this point. However, these are also on a larger spiral around a much larger version of the same geometry. So that's a quick one. Tomorrow I'll do some more. Oh, TJ, you have a good night. Good luck. Oh, woo! Let's see. Yeah, so another satellite. That was pretty sweet. Planetary artist. No, just little sketching on top of these planets. Little telestration, I would say. Alright, race to space while our planet's set.
Give you love and come in peace. Feel your pain cause it's part of me. I know you really think we need buddies, but I'm amazed by the shapes of your lips. Hear your name but we come in peace. It's insane that you're part of me. Never lifts from the iron wrists. It's as if everybody is the same buddy. Feel insane and I yearn for relief. Maybe someday the sun with me. I am made at the will of somebody someday, buddy. We'll get the slip. Here in space now we come in peace. Some of the things that you cannot believe. Ready to trip on the drift. We can live to the new, cause I love to give you. We are the space race, we are the moonwalk, we are the French race, we are the sequel, we are the ether. How are we still here? From your place along the space race. Somehow we lived, somehow we died, somehow we came back when the city cries. tried to civilize genocide. Kind of like with your armies coming down from the western forces. Got no love but you harm me. We've been paid for the western forces. But when you scream out and you sing loud, everybody wanna tear you down. Come on, come on, come on, step to it. I got nothing but love to share with you. We are the space race, we are the moonlight, we are the franchise, we are the sequel, leader of the ether. How are we still here? Before your place along the space race.
All right, little space groove right there. So, let's see what we got going on in the chat. Avidola. Don't you think it's amazing that a camera can zoom in on something that is millions and millions of miles away? Never ceases to astound me, to be honest. It's one of those things that just like done it hundreds and hundreds of times now, and every time it's like seeing the moon or the planets or stars. It's just incredible and like a fresh experience. Cyber Sully, what's happening? The current sea, implying a flowing river or a sea's vacillating current. Yes, but also current, right? An electrical current, and also currency, like money, right? Is electric flow, ultimately. What's up, Z Proxy? That right side, that's the trees and the tree line, and Saturn's on the left. So it's like 25 minutes in the stream, but if you brush back to the beginning, this one was really interesting. There are two satellite passing by, and also Jupiter and Saturn really clean early on. But yeah, right now they're setting so quickly, and this is basically what's crazy, that the Great Conjunction is, the window is about an hour tops to really capture it from sunset, where you can really see Jupiter and Saturn, till right now, so about 7:05. Avdallah says, or maybe they're not that far away. So there are several ways of looking at that. I've considered both, and each way of looking at it, like very far planets or very close planets, have 2 or 3 different routes of looking at it. I think one of them that allows you to really reconsider how far away things are is Halton Arp's inquiry into redshift, and the idea that, and then Ken Wheeler, Eric Dollard, and other people have talked about how light doesn't really travel. Therefore, things don't have to be very old or very far away in order for light to be received by Earth. Similarly, Halton Arp and others have talked about how redshift is not a good indicator of distance, more so an indicator of age or heat. And then furthermore, there are other people who have talked about the universe not expanding, or just a different type of model. So if you put those all together, there is a healthy debate about like what is distance in space, where are things. Now granted, you have NASA and other space agencies doing actual telemetry, so pinging a signal back and forth between the craft and Earth. You also have corroborative geometry and trigonometry from people looking at the same object from different parts of Earth. Whatever shape Earth may be, they're still looking at it from different continents and creating geometric, like Kepler's third law, and like certain trigonometric rule sets really can determine, I guess, from our perspective, where things are. However, to go into where things may be in space, you can imagine one further step, which is we have an ionosphere, an atmosphere, magnetosphere. And what I've talked about is a thin layer of plasma around Earth where things ultimately all converge upon. So I'll just sketch, because we've lost Saturn and Jupiter. I'll sketch a little bit about this concept. I'll tell you what I think, and you tell me. So turn on my paint program, and actually what I'll do, yeah, let me just sketch it. So this idea that the human eye, right, is looking out, I think right here is this convergence, the compression of the wave, or what we perceive as waves, but really are vibrational frequencies. And so you have the peak of the wave, and then the wave gets larger, and then gets even larger. So at every juncture here, you have this structure, this hypotrochoid, right? You've got the torus, or the butterfly, or the apple shape, and Earth's fields, or plasma sheaths, reside or occur in this way. So what happens is the way we even see each other, what coming into focus means is that when another plasma sheath comes in contact with your plasma, it creates this point, this counter space sink that attracts this energy to this energy, almost like what really happens when it comes to what gravity really is mutual mass acceleration towards a null point. If I'm to try and quote Ken Wheeler to some degree, but if I'm using that principle to define optics, we can think about how light coming from Saturn and Jupiter actually radiates in the same way, or vibrates in the same way, and then planets kind of come to a point about 13 miles above the surface of Earth, and they create an interaction. That interaction is then seen as we perceive what seeing is, because of this kind of compression and rarefaction of this vibrational signal. And this is why I think, for me, I've always wondered why everything comes into focus all at once, all the stars, all the planets. Nobody really asked this question, and nobody I've heard actually has an answer. That's so bad, Z-Proxy. All right, let me get it. I know. I was gonna feel like it's terrible. I'm just shredding on it. Here, let me go a little bit back to the beginning. So eyeball, right? So, right, you're looking. I was trying to draw a head, but I don't need to distract you with my poor drawing. The main thing here is that signals arrive and create cymatic signatures on these plasma layers. And cymatics, if you've ever seen those plates, like a Chladni plate or Rupert Sheldrake's work, or like just those YouTube experiments where it creates these cool like formations when you vibrate the sand, right? And the different resonant frequencies create different shapes, or different patterns rather. This is almost like a fractal set. So how we see and hear and feel and touch and all these things are different versions of this being imprinted on that and then being received by this. If that makes any sense. What's happening, Mr. Sexy Potato? Great username. Compression and rarefaction, exactly, Justice Alexander Bideau. So, but what I merged, and like Ken Wheeler's talked about almost everything, right? But he has not talked about Rupert Sheldrake. And Rupert Sheldrake talks about three-dimensional versions of these. He and his son do three-dimensional imaging of these cymatic imprints, right? So it's the first, if you see them, you'll kind of understand how, like, this is the code by which things are encoded. When people say things are coded that way, or things, genetic code, this is the code. The code is a certain type of geometric formation based on the frequency modulation and based on the density. And then once it's encoded and it looks like this because it's retained in this fluctuation, then the center of a plasmoid, or the plasmoid itself, because it's recursively fractal, is able to sympathetically resonate with this memory. So it's not only coded in a plasma layer, which is time and memory. You could consider it memory or time, but really each layer is a unit of time, and each layer contains memories of encoded cymatic patterns. And then the center of every nodule, like right here I'm just showing an eyeball seeing, right? But you could also think of it as the pineal gland in the head receiving data from outside. Like this is the Akashic record. The Akashic record is the Earth, and the Earth with its terrible, poorly drawn continents has its layers of plasma that are encoded with very highly complex cymatic resonant signatures. And the Earth resonates with these signatures all day long. That's what the Schumann resonance is. Jedi Princess, have a great night. Blue Diamond Phillips, have a blue diamond night. So Z-Proxy says, yet why does star Sirius animate its color? Film some 240 FPS, but why does it vibrate? Because Sirius, the dog star, and all these like really high magnitude stars that we see in the night sky are vibrating at such an incredible... In fact, they're vibrating very, very fast, but they're not vibrating faster than we are, which is a really strange statement that I'm saying, but I think things that are solid, like carbon-based life form that you can't put your finger through, are vibrating faster than things that, like a plasma star, which really is almost less dense than the human body. I mean, maybe the core of the star, like these black holes, have a very high density, but the star itself might be even more foamy, more thin, translucent in terms of density as we are, or a table is, for example. That's why things are solid, right? Because things vibrate so fast. Like if you imagine a fan, if a fan really rotated to a certain degree, at some point it would basically be solid. And either way, so Sirius and these very bright stars are vibrating in a way that allows us to see a range of the spectrum. I don't think it's really strange at all. I mean, all the stars do that. It's just that Sirius does it much more. I think the vibration is probably lower and therefore brighter. Adam Berry says, To the Moon by Gain Altitude, best space song. Can't say that I've heard that, but I guess it might be. Everything might be. Hans Koning says, plus we only see 60% with our eyes and the rest our mind creates. Well, there's this notion about how, and also I think I might be buffering, but if I'm not, if you're experiencing that, just, it seems like it's adjusting. But I think that it's so important to consider why the human eye sees a thin sliver of light, and why the human mind only focuses on a certain number of things. I think the common misconception is that that's a really big negative, right? We only use 10% of our brain, which is not true. And we only can see a sliver of light, and all these other things can do so much more than humans. But in fact, I think there's a really great way of looking at it, which is we only see that many colors and that many spectrum lines and that few sounds because otherwise it would be too overwhelming. So in a way, without being able to discern and pick out certain sounds from silence, we would experience too much, and therefore it would be overload. So ultimately, it's a really big positive that essentially limitations are positive ultimately. I do have a parallel channel, Electric Astronomy, but I don't know, the buffering is really probably due to the fact that it's evening time and people are hogging the internet resources. It's close enough. It's about a year or two away before like I can upload at 40 megs per second, and then right now it's about 24 megs per second, and it's right at the cusp of pushing 30 FPS 4K. But it's just amazing that we can do it anyway, so not complaining here. All right, let me know if you have any other thoughts on what I was saying. This idea of seeing things really answers a lot for me in terms of, oh, look at that, I see, is that Jupiter popping up? It's still tracking Saturn and Jupiter behind, but it's moving behind the tree. That is Jupiter. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. Saturn's still behind the tree. Yo, what's up, Lost Brooklyn? How's it going? Justice says, Sirius is amazing to look at with the naked eye. It appears to me to flicker much like a selenite spectral sweep light. Well, yeah, I think it's really fascinating. Like, I don't have all the answers, or I don't pretend to have all the answers, but I see that once you look at stars as being along branches, then it makes sense as to how they're powered and how they can glow and how they can be less, brighter or dimmer, right? This changes perception on exoplanet research. It changes perception on the age of the universe. Right now, unfortunately, popular cosmology thinks that things are separated in space, even though, and not connected by filamentary plasma that is not only carrying particles and radiation, but information. And it's really primitive what's happening in the public sphere. But right here, I'm talking about something which is that the universe and every planet and every particle is conscious. Sorry, sometimes I get like hyped and I don't breathe, so let me breathe a little bit and draw some more for y'all. Yeah, Zprox, you're watching at 360p. Not a good idea, buddy. Not good. But yeah, so optically, before I erase this, these cymatic patterns get imprinted, and the eye sends out a signal. We magnet eyes with information, and we resolve it. We resolve it. All that type of... it's crazy, just looking on the background. All those kind of, the people who study gematria, the people who study the origin of words and how words are encoded and power words, etc. This is really, all that stuff is real. I think the only problem sometimes that I see with that type of assessment of words and magic numbers is that people think it's only used for nefarious purposes. But in fact, like, numbers are how... numbers are a way to describe things that are perfectly natural and normal, so it includes good and bad things. And honestly, mostly good things, because we're here today. We're not all dead, right? Unless, you perceive life as death and vice versa, but ultimately, because we're alive, things are fine. Right, so sympathetically resonate with cymatic signatures in 3 dimensions. Almost like looking through a ferrocell. When you see the ferrocell with, Ken Wheeler, I've done some ferrocell, Fractal Woman, lots of people have it. You see the ferrocell kind of bends light beams, but it doesn't really bend light beams. It just impinges upon the pre-existing geometry of the universe, which is the toroidal shape and the hourglass shape. And then you can see that shape resolve in this 3-dimensional hologram within the ferrocell. So information comes from Saturn, imprints upon the 13 mile above the surface plasma layer, And of course, even further, it refracts and diffracts as it goes through the different layers. And then we send out a signal being oscillators, because the eye is an oscillator, the brain is an oscillator, the heart is an oscillator, the stomach is an oscillator. And what's an oscillator? This is the chakra points, right? Same geometry. So if you've ever seen Donnie Darko, where his chest has that kind of tube of plasma, or if you've ever seen, I mean, not that Donnie Darko knew what they were doing, but ultimately that's sort of what it really is. It's like you're projecting a continued beam of attention, and even the word tension, right? You're creating attention with this point. And that's how we perceive things. We receive, perceive, and this interaction, this kind of equilibrium, is what focus is, focal distance. Like if you go and look up right now, like how do optics work, what's focal distance, you'll see you'll get to nowhere. You'll dive into, even if you go to college level stuff, people don't actually talk about what focal distance is, why it actually exists at all. They'll just, the closest I've ever seen anybody describe it is Descartes. Rene Descartes had Cartesian frame of reference, right? And he was trying to explain this exact thing. But if you look at it through plasma layers, the geometry manifests physically. What's up, VW Blue Sky? Hi. Welcome. Hans Koning says, so are we fractals? So I think we exist within a fractal, and we ourselves are a fractal, right? So it's a recursive fractal. Abu Sabayu, if you're asking me what is my favorite old school camera, gotta be honest, I never really was a photographer until I got into astronomy. So I started off with the Sony mirrorless cameras, the Sony a6000, and then I did have a Rebel TI at one point, and way back I had a Fujifilm back in like 2002. I've always liked digital photography, but people make you think that if you're not great at photography, then you shouldn't even be a photographer, and it kind of demoralized me for a lot of years. Until I was like, man, I really just got to do the space thing. Like, what is ISO? What is the shutter? And then, and now I'm really it's muscle memory in terms of how the camera works when it comes to taking space shots. All right, unnamed citizen. That's all good. We don't have to talk about that stuff necessarily. I don't really want to talk about that, if you don't mind. Cool. All right, so fun short show tonight. Let me know if you have any other thoughts. I really appreciate everybody leaving me questions and topics to discuss and songs that you liked. I'll play a couple more songs here, and I'll go and check out Fommel Out, the star that I looked at the other night, and we'll close out the show tonight so I can have some dinner. All right, everybody. Let's see. What song should I play? Let's do Keep You Waiting. And I'll be back again tomorrow, weather willing.
Keep
alright, y'all. So that's a little Fomalhaut. I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's Fomalhaut. And yeah, it's a magnitude 1.15 star. I have it defocused, and the reason there's a black spot in the middle is because the front of the telescope has the black ring that keeps the glass in place. Really rough skies tonight, but got some killer views of Jupiter and Saturn for a brief moment. I got to talk about some optics and some plasma and see all you nice people in the chat. So I wish you all a wonderful evening, everybody who stopped by, everybody lurking, and even people who don't like this stream. You're all important and necessary. So let's fade this one out. Have a great rest of your night. I'll catch up with you tomorrow, the day after, and stay wise, stay safe. Captain out.
I can see your eyes open up tonight. You're living on the edge of the world. But you still feel like there's something more to see. I can feel your fire lighting up the streets. We're sticking on the edge of my dream. But I still feel like there's something more to see. The love is given, still collide. The life's not over, no stars for a while. But something tells me twilight's come my world. And even so alone, it's incredible. Revolution is something we learn. 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 Revolution is something